The evidence showed that SNC-Lavalin had significant financial interests in deferring prosecution. These interests would likely have been furthered had Mr. Trudeau successfully influenced the Attorney General to intervene in the direction of public prosecution's decision. The actions that sought to further these interests were improper since they were contrary to the Shawcross Doctrine and the principles of prosecutorial independence and the rule of law. I'll just read a little bit more. Here's the key part. For these reasons, I found that Mr. Trudeau used his position of authority over Ms. Wilson Raybould to seek to influence, both directly and indirectly, her decision on whether she should overrule the Director of Public Prosecution's decision not to invite SNC-Lavalin to enter into negotiations toward a remediation agreement. Therefore, I find that Mr. Trudeau contravened Section 9 of the Act. Boom. He's a lawbreaker. Your Prime Minister is a lawbreaker. He broke the law, but we all knew that. But we didn't know some other details. I didn't know that Trudeau was actively working with SNC-Lavalin against the Attorney General. While Jody Wilson-Raybould and the Director of Public Prosecutions were prosecuting, Trudeau was collaborating with SNC-Lavalin. That's incredible. Now we knew a lot of this before, but for some reason we're all acting like everything's just fine. Now let me read to you another interesting part of this report. I won't read you too much more. This Ethics Commissioner, Mario Dion, he started to investigate in February, right when the Globe story broke. I think he started the next day, in fact. Listen to how Trudeau tried to cover up the fact. We saw him lying there. Oh, the story is false. Look at how he covered up the facts. If he were a conservative, he would be compared to Richard Nixon, hiding documents, deleting tapes. Look at this. Let me read this. On February 8, I wrote to Mr. Trudeau. This is Mario Dion speaking. I wrote to Mr. Trudeau to inform him that I was initiating an examination of his conduct. I informed Mr. Trudeau that the purpose of my examination was to determine whether he used his position to seek to influence the decision of Ms. Wilson Raybould in her capacity as Attorney General of Canada so as to improperly further the private interests of SNC-Lavalin. I requested that Mr. Trudeau produce all relevant documents in the possession, custody, or control of the Prime Minister's office. Okay. During this examination, 9 witnesses, so this is 9 staff of Trudeau, informed our office that they had information they believed to be relevant, but that could not be disclosed because, according to them, this information would reveal a confidence of the Queen's Privy Council and would fall outside the scope of Order in Council 2019-105. In order to gain access to as much relevant information as possible, on March 29th, I instructed legal counsel in our office to engage with counterparts in the Privy Council office to request that witnesses be enabled to provide all of their evidence to our office. Despite several weeks of discussions, the office has remained at an impasse over access to cabinet documents. On May 3rd, I raised the matter directly with the Prime Minister during his interview. Through legal counsel, Mr. Trudeau stated that he would consult with the Privy Council office to see whether the Order in Council could be amended. So I guess Justin Trudeau needed permission. In a letter dated June 13th, the Clerk of the Privy Council declined my request for access to all cabinet conferences in respect to this investigation. Because of the decisions to deny our office further access to cabinet confidences, witnesses were constrained in their ability to provide all evidence. I was therefore prevented from looking over the entire body of evidence to determine its relevance to my examination. Decisions that affect my jurisdiction under the Act by setting parameters on my ability to receive evidence should be made transparently and democratically by Parliament, not by the very same public office holders who are subject to the regime I administer. I am convinced that if our office is to remain truly independent and fulfill its purpose, I must have unfettered access to all information that could be relevant to the exercise of my mandate. I must be satisfied that decisions made by the most senior public office holders, including those discussed at Cabinet, are free from any conflicts of interest. In the present examination, I have gathered sufficient factual information to properly determine the matter on its merits. Because of my inability to access all cabinet conferences related to the matter, I must, however, report that I was unable to fully discharge the investigatory duties conferred upon me by the Act. All right, I'm sorry to read so much, but my point is this. Trudeau is a lawbreaker. That's son. He was convicted today. But we don't even know the half of it, because Trudeau continues to refuse to hand over information, and he has ordered his staff not to talk either, saying it's confidential. But this is the ethics commissioner. His job is to investigate confidential things. He won't blab about state secrets. He's not an outsider. He's an internal check on the power of MPs, including cabinet. And Trudeau refuses to let him see what Trudeau did. That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. Every day I do a video monologue and then I interview an interesting guest. And then I end by reading my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at therebel.media/shows.